Dan, I'm really bored of overdrive pedals.
I know what you need. More overdrive pedals! These are different. These are different. Heavens. Hey everyone, welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
Mick here, hello. What a tour de force that was, Daniel.
It was a tour de something.
Yeah.
Tour de fudge. Yes. So, we've got some interesting overdrives.
Yeah. Different stuff, right? So most overdrive pedals are one thing. They usually involve some sort of op-amp type thing and some clipping diodes. That's a normal overdrive pedal.
Yeah, or transistors and bloody blah.
And they may include some of these, but these are just different takes on how we can achieve a slightly more overdrive tone. And we will get to that in a second. First, some housekeeping.
Indeed. First of all, thank you for joining us. Please subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Also, massive thank you to anyone that's gone to thatpedalshowstore.com and grabbed some merch. That helps us fund the show. And to our American friends,
thatpedalshop.com. If you want to buy pedals in the USA, go to thatpedalshop.com where you can buy loads and loads of pedals.
Indeed. All right.
Good.
Let's tuck in.
All right, so we've got 5 things here.
Yeah, 5 things plus some delay and reverb.
Yeah. I guess 2 of them are billed generally as overdrives. The Walrus Audio 385.
Indeed.
And the Great Eastern
Small Speaker Overdrive.
Small Speaker Overdrive.
Yep.
The other 2 build less as overdrives and more as tone shaping devices, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, the Catalinbread certainly is capable of huge amounts of gain.
Yeah.
But that's really interesting. But yeah.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
Today's amplifiers, we've got a Fender Deluxe Reverb, 65 Deluxe Reverb, which is the standard reissue Deluxe Reverb. It's there as a sort of clean pedal platform amp, although some of these pedals will push it slightly into overdrive.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the Marshall setup just a little bit crunchier, not massively crunchy, but just a little bit crunchier, just to give ourselves some breadth of what you might be plugging these things into, either a clean amp or an overdriven amp. And we'll just, we'll A/B them and just see how they react in different environs.
Indeed.
Where do you want to start then, Dan?
Well, let's start with the Small Speaker Overdrive.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go from right to left.
Now, there is a story involved with this. The Great Eastern Effects Co. involves a mutual friend of ours.
Indeed, Mr. David Greaves.
Called David Greaves.
Yeah.
Hello, David. Hopefully you'll watch this. David and I worked together on Guitar Buyer magazine back in the day.
Yeah.
And yeah, so does he make them? Does he make them with somebody else?
Yeah, it's his company as
His
far as I
thing.
know, and this is his thing.
Cool. And it is, Dan, you've done the research?
Yeah, so it's based around a Fender Champ, and the idea is that, you know, loads of people use small amplifiers in the studio cranked, and there's something about almost the lack of bottom end that those things create that make them sit perfectly in the mix. So, you know, loads of those Zeppelin recordings with those, you know, small amps and, you know, all through the years.
Very famously, Derek and the Dominoes, of course.
There you go.
When Clapton was on his Champ
Right.
Odyssey.
And
As
those
a concept album.
those tones sort of sit really beautifully in the mix. And the aim with this is to replicate some of those Champ-like tones, but also the effect of miking that 10-inch speaker.
Yeah, which of course, we will stop talking presently, I promise. One of the great things about small amps is they require so little post EQ.
Yeah.
Big amps, you know, you need to roll all the bottom end off, you need to do all kinds of things. I say need. You might want to do those things to get them to sit in a mix nicely. The great thing about those little amps, Mike, was they just have a sound.
Yeah.
Sometimes in isolation it can sound small and boxy, but as Dan says, in that mix, really nice. Let's hear it then. Shall we start with the Fender?
Sure. That feels unreal. I want to hear the master. Keep going.
That is really, really, really cool.
Isn't that great?
Tell what I like about it.
Yeah.
It's got a ton of headroom.
Yes.
So without any gain rolled on it, will push the
Marshall.
well, both of them.
Yeah, yeah.
It'll push the deluxe into overdrive too. But it really does capture that sound, especially if you roll the top end off, which is what we were doing when you were playing there.
Uh-huh.
That's pretty convincing version of that sound to me.
If you think about the way that 10-inch speaker breaks up, and it's got a really specific thing, he's done such a great job of getting that sort of
Yeah.
feel to it.
It's really nice.
Yeah, man.
I do wonder if he might have done himself a disservice. David, you might have done yourself a little bit of a disservice by calling it a small speaker overdrive, because while there's a lot of people that really want that, there's a lot of people who really don't.
Yeah.
And to me, that is just a great tweed overdrive. But then I guess if you called it tweed overdrive, there'd be like there's 18 million others out there.
Sure.
You know, well, actually sits in that place where the black panel amps and the tweed amps, once you crank them, you know, they can be not a million miles away from one another.
Very cool.
So somebody's been playing his guitar, Daniel.
Nice.
Some residue on the rear of the neck part here. The handle.
Okay, the handle of the guitar.
Yeah.
There you go.
Really killer, David.
Yeah, well done, mate.
Yeah, I can see that making more appearances on the show.
Yeah, lovely.
All right, so from small
To massive.
to bigger.
Yeah. So this is really cool. Now, it must be a couple of years ago, we went down to Rift Amps.
Yeah, at least.
And built a couple of tweed amps, the 5E3.
Yeah, deluxe,
Circuit,
tweed
little
deluxe.
deluxe tweed
One of
deluxes.
them's there. Unfortunately, my rubbish wiring means that it doesn't work very well.
I think both of ours ended up
Yeah,
not
getting
working.
rewired.
Yeah, anyway. So Chris from Rift has started building these called the EL34. And the idea is that basically plug it into anything except an EL34 amp, and you can tweak it to give it the flavor of, you know, those lovely EL34 Marshall-esque type tones.
Yeah, so the danger is you go, oh, EL34, it's supposed to sound like a Marshall. It's not that, is it?
No.
It's supposed to just specifically for Fender type amps? 6L6 amps?
You can, I think he says you can basically plug it into any other power stage, including EL84s, 6V6s, 6L6s, 5881s.
Yeah, okay. EL34 EQ and Boost accurately recreates the sound, feel and harmonics of the classic EL34 pentode power tube. Valve. Yeah, exactly what you just said. Use with any of those other amps to get the flavour,
Yeah,
or plug it into an EL34 amp for even more.
for even more flavour.
Yeah,
Right.
fully hand wired, up to the standard of his amps. Blah 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 blah.
Like putting salt and pepper on your Doritos. More flavour.
Okay, all right. So I guess we should use the deluxe reverb to begin with, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Gagne then. Rolls off the bottom end, pushes the upper mids.
Yeah.
Kind of what you would expect from what I would consider from a Marshall type EQ response. So from an EQ perspective, it's starting to do that job. We've got the tone roll down there. I suspect that comes into its own as the amp gets gainier.
Right.
Before we hit the drive side, let's just hear it into the Marshall for more of more. The bottom end roll off really comes into its own when you roll the gain on, exactly as expected. Here you go, have a try.
Very, very cool.
Okay, tell you what's interesting about that is there is a danger here that over YouTube and in the recorded sound in the way which we do it, the rolling off of bass and the adding of those cutting high mids
And you're going to think, oh, that doesn't sound very pleasing.
doesn't sound very pleasing. That is, even though it's not billed as a Marshall pedal, that is closer to what I would consider the Plexi response than a lot of pedals with Plexi written on them, which all have too much gain and too much bass.
Yes.
I can see that working at volume in a band.
So how many clean pedal platforms that, you know, that we love and, you know, for sparkly high end, big fat thing. But if you really want that driving tight response, really challenging to get,
Yeah.
that is really, really cool. I'll tell you one other thing just quickly.
That's one other thing I want to try, actually.
But check this out. So here you go. There's both amps on, right? Listen to this.
Oh, wow. Super low noise.
There's almost no extra noise in it. And that's a lot more gain.
That's killer. That's a real grown-ups guitar sound.
It
That.
really
And
is.
I don't mean to be disparaging to anyone who isn't grown up, but that is really serious, proper, loud. You know what it reminds me of? Phil X.
Right.
Whenever you hear Phil X play the guitar live at one of his clinics or at a gig or a jam or something like that, it's always so much more aggressive than you ever think a guitar tone needs to be.
Yeah.
And yet when
Yeah.
it's there with the bass and drums, what it means is you can hear everything. And it just does remind me of that. The other thing, it by rolling off the bass and pushing those mids, it's very different, but it does remind me of a clonny type thing.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Of what the clon does. So let's just try this a sec. We'll just go into the Fender for a second. It's not that lower mid range.
No,
it's definitely upper mid range.
The sizzle,
which is what that certainly vintagey Marshall sound is all about.
That's so interesting.
That's really cool. I'm looking forward to playing that a bit more for sure. Nice one, Chris.
Yeah. Wow.
You're in no doubts as to what's in there, what it's supposed to be doing with the graphics as well.
The wiring inside, no circuit board. It's all done similar way to
Marcus Reeves and Neil Grimes. Every time we mention Marcus Reeves, I always think we should mention Neil Grimes from NRG as well, because Neil's doing that beautiful work as well. So
yeah.
Good.
Fantastic.
Nice.
Right.
Catalinbread
Dreamcoat.
Any manual with this, Dan?
No manual with this.
Lord help
lovely,
us.
lovely stickers, but no manual. Right. So
Manual's online, by the way.
this was released originally. It came with a treble booster. That was part of a famous 60s, 70s rock icons guitar sound. The Dreamcoat is basically a replica of the preamp of the, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, the AWA, AWAI. It's an old tape machine.
Okay. Iowa.
Iowa, yeah, that'll do.
I've got an Iowa tape deck.
Do you?
Yeah, but like a modern, well, I say C90 cassettes. Hardly modern, but not 60s.
Right. So this is a replica.
AIWA, isn't it? Iowa.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Sorry, so I was confused.
So this is a replica of that preamp with a couple of other things thrown in.
Yeah.
I think they've gone to great lengths to try and not mention Richie Blackmore.
Right.
But it's that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So a couple of extra things. There is another gain stage to add even more saturation, and there's also like a mid-frequency boost, as well as a mix control, so you can blend in more of your original signal.
So we've got mic vol.
So that's the preamp input.
Saturation.
Which is the extra gain stage.
Master volume.
Yep.
Freak.
So that is the frequency. That is the extra.
Yeah. And blend.
Nice. Yeah.
Can you then?
Can you?
sure it's killing the front of the Marshall.
That's so cool.
Get on. I was already confused by the controls, so I just set them all at 2 o'clock. Bingo, best sound in the pedal. Sorry, Catalinbread. Cool. Right, I can't wait for this. Balls out. So all of that really, seeing as we said balls, let's say hairy. Hair. Spice, fizz. All that stuff that can sound, again, can sound unpleasant, can sound scrappy, can sound kind of hooligan-y, can sound punky in a way.
Yeah.
Actually, is all the fun juice, isn't it? It's all the fun that it brings to the game, especially in a band mix where all that stuff can be really useful.
Imagine you've tracked a guitar, like a heavy guitar, and you're looking for something, another heavy tone to put with it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so cool.
It cleaned up real nice as well there. I just wanted to check that. Wow, that's really cool. I mean, that's the sound that, I would struggle with.
Right.
Because I don't really play like that, but I know loads of people who really, really do play like that.
Yeah.
And to the point of this episode, really can't deal with normal overdrive pedals because they sound so small and compressed and boxy in comparison to that, which just sounds... I mean, to be fair, Dan and I are a little bit poo-pooey of pedals that claim to sound like amps because they never do. Given that an amp's got a speaker and a transformer and cabinet and all that stuff. However, so far, these all give a really nice ampy feel.
They really do.
They do, and and more to the point, they take the amp that you have and offer a very different feel.
Yeah.
And that, despite all the histrionics, that just feels fantastic under the fingers. That one.
Yeah.
For me, anyway.
Yeah. No, I'm already ticking over. Like, oh, I could use that there and there. So impressive.
So what we're hearing there?
Yeah, I just want to hear it with the humbucker.
Yeah. That's killer.
It's flipping extraordinary.
Loads of headroom as well.
Wow.
Happy days. Nice.
Yeah. How lovely.
Yeah. What haven't we done then? The blend control. Let's just...
Yeah, so the blend control is so that you can blend your original signal back in. So
Yeah.
one of the issues with having such a compressed sound is that you can lose the front of that note. So the blend control just allows you to, same as you would with the blend control on a compressor, allows you to dial that back in.
Can I just test something a sec then?
Indeed.
Let's go into Fender again.
How cool is that?
Yeah, I was just interested. I mean, I dialed in some deliberately unpleasant noises there.
Yeah.
Just to see where that, where the point of off and onable was, and going full out on the pedal with the blend, it just gives these really broken,
Totally broken.
completely, yeah. How cool! How cool!
Lovely.
Okay, Walrus 385. Then we've seen this before. This is not in any way new. All the others are newish. This is not new, but we like it because it is a different take on an overdrive pedal. It's probably the closest thing to a normal overdrive pedal we've got on the board.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's said to simulate that particular type of cinema projector amp made very famous by a certain Blake Mills.
Indeed.
And good news, we've got some harmonic trem there, almost some vibrato tremolo from the Memphis, which we might be able to throw in for good measure.
Yeah. But this is the take on the... So that old... It's the bells and...
Bells and whistles?
The bells and whistles. No, it's the brand of the projector that loads of people have modded, but it's got
It's
this...
not bells and whistles.
No, it's not bells and whistles, but it's bells and
I've
something.
made that up. Bells and ends?
Bells... the bells and chimes.
Yeah.
But it's got this really cool 6v6 amp in it that, I add a 1/4 inch jack into it and you go, whoa, it can sound really cool.
Yeah.
It breaks up in a really cool, unique way. And I think Walrus has done an amazing job just giving that, just that different flavour. So
Yeah.
have Shringage.
Okay, I'll start with the Strat and then we'll move to something else in time.
Let's go.
That is playable.
Beautiful.
I enjoy this.
Yeah. Let's do this for a job.
It's quite different. So for context, just before Dan gives a schwang with some other pickups, traditionally the kind of overdrives I like are much more in the mid-humped vein.
Yep.
And tend to be a little more compressed and tend to be more sort of tube screamer derived. That's the sort of polar opposite of that in many respects, in that you've got all that lovely crunchy top end that you would associate with a small amp overdriving and a small speaker and all the rest of it. And the breakup is different. It's harder edged. It's just, it's really magic, actually.
So the same, like with all of these, the breakup is different.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so many overdrives and clones of overdrives and that sort of based around a similar topology, and they're wonderful. You know, we love them, but the idea of getting the gains, you know, getting these things to break up in a different way, and it just to give that different feel under the fingers, a different flavor, it can spark a whole slew of new creative
Makes
ideas.
you play completely differently.
Absolutely
doesn't
does.
it? Yeah.
Absolutely does.
Have a swingy swang on that one then.
carried away. So- Very good.
For those of you who might be new, I have this recurring theory that everything sounds best with all the knobs at 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Haven't been that wrong yet. The only exception is delay pedals for the mix knob. It never sounds good there. But
Right.
yeah.
So
Killer.
it is killer. What was so interesting about that is the dynamics, the amount of control you have with the amount of pressure you use with the pick.
Yeah.
I was going from like fairly clean to raucous fuzz just by digging in a bit.
Yeah.
That was flipping fantastic.
Yeah, I deliberately dialed in quite a lot of gain from it at the end there so that you can just start playing with the guitar and turn the volume control down and just see where you are. Because there was a lot of the neck pickup in that guitar is a little bit microphonic. So,
Yeah.
But you've got it all there. You've got it all under the volume control. You can dial it back and on. Very nice. Very
Really
nice
lovely.
indeed. We know that we like that. We've seen it before. But anyway, right. Finally, then the Memphis V. You might say that this isn't an overdrive pedal at all because it is essentially there to recreate the vibrato effect in the famous Magnatone amps. Magnatones had a recent resurgence, and by all accounts, the new reissues are superb.
Yeah,
We do need to get our hands on one.
we do.
What's interesting about some of those old Magnatone amps was the vibrato effect that has been made famous by lots of people down the years. I guess we would say Robert Cray, big fan of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's different from Fender's vibrato in most of its amps was actually a tremolo, an amplitude tremolo.
Mm-hmm.
Volume up and down achieved in some different ways. Harmonic tremolo in a Fender amp of the early 60s was a different thing, and it had a kind of more modulated kind of sound, and that was achieved in a different way. The Magnatone vibrato was a straight pitch vibrato,
You're right.
so modulating pitch up and down, and that's how that was achieved. And in addition to that, there were some stereo aspects to that sound because they were true stereo amps, some of the models.
Right.
And that's what one of these switches is about on here. Now, we've included it here because when you boost it, it does go a bit drivey.
Because this circuit also includes that preamp in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is why you give it some love, and it's like, oh, hello.
Yeah. Come on in. Let's start with the Fender then. Let's do this. That's a cool sound.
So I'll tell you what I really like about that. Without any of the intensity and speed down, so the modulation circuit is, even with all the way down, it's still a bit there.
Yeah.
But having that sort of a solo boost, because that preamp sound, the attack is just stunning.
It's really lovely, yeah.
But then a little bit of movement added onto that when you have that sound on, it's so good. So with a down and with a bit of delay and reverb, it's almost imperceivable, but there's enough there just to give it a little bit of movement. And I love that approach to modulation.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really cool. It would work wet dry too. So if the switch on the top there is supposed to simulate the stereo mode in the magnetone. So it becomes more, let me just get this right. It becomes more 3D sounding, and certainly it's more prominent, isn't it, in one of the positions there. Yeah, select between 100% all wet or put the dry and modulated signal in parallel. The latter was found in some of the original amps through the stereo inputs and yields a whirling phaser and vibe sounds.
Okay.
So it's doing wet dry within itself.
Okay.
Now, if you were to use that in a wet dry rig in the way that Dan uses them, I think it could be really great, because you could have it on you could have it on either of the amps and it's just boosting one of them. Could be really, really cool, actually. So
Would you like to hear it?
why don't we finish with that then, Dan? Okay. So Dan's going to use G3 to set that up now. He can do that because he has the he has the skills. We'll be back in a jiffy.
Back in the room.
Dan has made it so that the Memphis V is hitting the Fender.
It's hitting the Fender,
but not the Marshall.
Not the Marshall. The Marshall's dry.
Do you want to prove it?
Yeah, sure.
Come on, prove it.
So
prove it.
Here's the Marshall. I'm going to get my... What was on?
Memphis V, delay and reverb, and then I switched in the Small Speaker Overdrive and went from no overdrive to lots of overdrive. That's killer, man. And having the wet dry into the 2 amps, you know, we don't need to underline that any more than we already have on this show. It's a sound. It's a sound.
So that dynamic thing where it is so sensitive to the way you play. And gain stages like that, when you're, I think one thing we all want to be is sensitive to the way that we play and dynamic with the way that we play. And when you've got gain stages like that, draw that out of you. Yeah, man, it's something else. So good,
really, really good. I think we're feeling it today.
Yeah,
might be because we haven't. It's been a month since we filmed anything, so it's nice to be back in here and get some volume going.
Yeah,
but I totally agree with you. I totally agree with that. You know, if you are a little bit tired of that standard overly gainy, overly compressed, overly small sounding overdrive pedal, if you want to term it that way,
and which we love,
we do love, in the right environment. But some people just find them that. I think any of these is a good option.
Yeah,
as a different approach to that, just to add some character, different flavour, all those things.
Brilliant. Well, I really hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, please subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. That would be lovely. Hit our 300,000 subscriber recently, which was really cool.
We did. We're about to hit. What we're about to hit?
We're about to hit 1 billion minutes of video watched.
1 billion.
1 billion.
Is that an American billion or a European billion?
1,000 million.
1,000 million. Yeah.
That'll do.
Wow, that's a lot of minutes.
It's a lot of minutes. Yeah. Which is, wow. So, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Also, a massive thank you to anyone that has gone to thatpedalshowstore.com and grabbed some merch.
Yes, please do buy merch. It's the main way we fund this show, and it keeps us going, keeps the lights on, and you get things like T-shirts too, so that's great.
Indeed.
There are also some links. If you click down the video description, there's more information on all the stuff you see in this, including the pedals, guitars, amps. So if you want to know something, the information's probably there. There are links. If you click on those links, Dan and I get a kickback, which helps us also fund this show. The one we will push you towards is that pedal shop if you're in the USA, that pedal shop in the USA. That's the one that helps us the most.
Indeed.
Please go there.
Indeed. And there's other really cool information on that site as well.
Yeah, there's some little guides about pedal guides and stuff like that. So hit it up, have a look, thatpedalshop.com.
Indeed. Also, thank you to our patrons on Patreon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Actually, there's some more information coming for our patrons as well, coming soon.
There is.
Okay. Brilliant. Have a fantastic day, and we'll see you soon.
Okay.
Bye.